update what I've been working on. This is officially called my bomb bag. So it's a messenger bag that I think I mentioned it in one of the last videos, and it's from what was it? Springfield Leather. I bought the pattern from. So as you can see, it's got this flap right here. It even says flap. Then it's got a couple. It's got a place to. I don't know. I guess you could put a maybe a laptop or what do you call it? Those other things called tablet, something like that. I'm not sure. I guess you could just put what it was made for, which was carrying papers and such. So like I say, it's got this inner, it's got this flap right here, and I also put a little another pocket inside this right here, and I don't know why I did it because you can't even see it, but I guess if you ever use this bag, you could use it. It also has a spot back here where you can put I don't know, some kind of small book or another laptop, whatever. I'm not sure what size. I think this is 9 inches across, so I'm not sure what size the laptops are now. And again, the reason I call it the bomb bag is I made it out of, I think, 8 to 9 ounce leather. And as you can see, this is some pretty heavy duty leather. And look at down here. I think it's 4 layers altogether. And this thing is so thick. And also I basically talking about mistake. I'm not sure if you can see that right there, but right in that little gusset area, I didn't get leather in there. So there's a little bit of a gap right there. It's glued, but the stitching only goes from here to there. So that's a glaring mistake right there. And then also you can see the stitching. Okay, there's the stitching. And you can see where I poked holes. I had to manually poke holes with the a pricking scratch all type deal. So you can see all the holes that I missed. But again, this thing was so dang thick. So right there you can see this is two layers of leather. And then of course this gusset is another layer. So I think I made a mistake right here too also. So this in the pattern, it calls for this right here to just be stitched to the gusset, but not this part right here. I don't know why I decided. I thought, well, that'll just make it stronger, but it doesn't show it on the pattern. So on this one, I didn't do that. As you can see, that's the way it's supposed to look with this this flap supposed to be free. And so that's how I did this one. So if, anyway, it was wrong. Another mistake. And you can see the stitching is it's barbaric. It's all over the place. There's no consistency with it. I couldn't use a regular pricking iron because it's just too damn thick. And so like I say, I used a pricking iron on the outside right here, which, doesn't look half bad. It's pretty consistent. But again, being this thing was so thick and being new to working with gussets are no joke. Like I say, you got to fold it, tuck it in, and then once you put the contact cement in there, it's really tricky because you know how it is when you use contact cement. You don't get a lot of do-overs. Once that contact cement is dry and starts hardening up, it's really hard to adjust it. So it's kind of like you got to get it right the first time. And as you can see, I didn't get it right very well, I should say. And then on this end of the side of the gusset, I had too much leather. I couldn't get that tucked in nice and tight like I wanted. So on this one, the stitching is really bad, like right down inside here. The holes are very inconsistent. I had to manually punch those holes through just because you can see, like I say, this is four layers of leather, and like I say, I think it's 8 to 9 ounces. It could even be thicker, I'm not sure. And also on this, as you can see where I put 2 lines of stitching on the pattern, it only calls for one row of stitching. But being again that this leather is so thick, being 8 to 9 ounce or whatever it is, it's some thick leather. It's some old veg tan that I've had laying around, and I don't think it was very good leather. I think it was one of those Tandy specials. And again, I always sound like I'm knocking Tandy. I'm not. It's just that I've learned that, Tandy is, as far as leather goes, it's a good place for beginners to buy leather. But now I don't buy leather from Tandy anymore because I try to get Wicked and Craig, or why I can't ever think of the other one. Because from what I've noticed and seen and gotten messages from other crafters, quality leather makes a difference. How it stamps, how it dyes, how it tools. And all the people that I think do good work, they all say they use Wicked and Craig, or, wow. Well, you guys probably know the other company I'm thinking of. They're both here in the United States. And so again, this leather was just some old heavy duty veg tan that I had. And I figured I got to use it for something. And according to the pattern on this, I'm trying to find the pattern right now. It does, okay, here it is. So here's the pattern. And I can't remember if it says it on the pattern as far as the ounce of leather. But anyway, that's what I used. I think it was a mistake. So anyway, I call this officially the bomb bag because this thing is so heavy duty. You could put a laptop or I don't know, a tablet in this thing, and you could drop it a story, and I don't think that it would be just fine. Also on these straps, I lined the straps just because that the hairy fuzzy stuff on the flesh side, it just doesn't look very good. And also I like practicing different, I don't want to say techniques, but different ways of doing things. And I do like lining straps like that. This is some I don't even know, I think it's just a liner itself. And I put that on, and you can see right there I didn't make it long enough. And another mistake, and I think on this one, as you can see, that one came out better. I had enough leather on that. So I don't have the buckles to finish this, so to speak. So that's why this just has these straps sticking out, because it calls for a couple of buckles right here, and then you put another strap so you can adjust it. Which, if I'm going to do this again, I'm just going to make one side adjustable. I don't think any strap needs to be two-side adjustable. That's just kind of overkill. It's just too much. But that's what the pattern called for, and I tend to always do what the pattern says, just because I'm afraid of deviating, because I'm afraid I might be doing something so wrong it might ruin the whole project. So I try to follow the patterns. And so that is the buckle that has its own keeper built in. And since I don't have that, I can't finish this. So anyway, I wanted to, one of the things that I've done is I believe in is, once I build a project, even if it's something I've done in a while, quite a bit of, I like to build 2 or 3 of them in the same week or something, so that I get a little repetition, and then hopefully I can work out some of the bugs on each one of the new projects that I start, even though they're the same. And so this was the next one that I started, and I figured this one I'm going to use leather that, same thing, leather that I really didn't want to use or didn't know what to use for. So this is a piece of scrap gray leather. I don't even know where I got this. I think I bought a lot of leather from someone that was going out of business or something, and they had all these different things, and they said just take the whole thing. And I got this leather, and it's ugly. I'm pretty sure it's veg tan. It's maybe it's not bad leather, but I just don't like the way it looks. So I have this, and I don't know what to do with it. So I said, well, I'll use this for the flap. And the flap, as you can see on this one, it doesn't have to be anything that is heavy duty. It just needs to basically lay down and for the most part just cover the opening. At least that's how I see it. So I decided I was just going to use this nice soft chrome tan, and so that's what I did. And speaking of mistakes, and then this right here, this black leather, there's two pieces of this, and this is some chrome tan I have. I actually like this. It's got a nice pebble texture to it. but I only have a little bit of it. So I thought, you know what? Let me try, mixing up chrome tan and veg tan. So I put this black chrome tan on the front. And again, this is the same kind of bag. Um, but again, this one is not a bomb bag. This is more of a, I think this is the way that the bag was probably designed to be, was a little bit more flexible. I think maybe the bag originally calls for chrome tan instead, not the veg tan. So anyway, that was a big mistake on this one. But again, I like the fact that I've named it the bomb bag, because you could literally use it in a, if you were one of those bomb rescue people, you could stick a bomb in there and let it blow up, and it probably wouldn't hurt anything. So anyway, on this one, some of the things I did right was I used some of this, this, I don't know, it's kind of like a, I don't know, a brownish red to it. And I think it's veg tan, but I think it's, maybe it's stuffed kind of veg tan. I'm not sure how to say that properly, but I think it will take a stamp, because I've tried some pieces on it. But anyway, I never really liked this leather. Again, it was one of those things that I bought when I first started doing crafting, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I decided, well, I'll use some of it for this bag. And so I used it for the to make the bag a little stiffer too, just at least for the back part, so that this bag will have some rigidity to it. So I used it for this back piece, and then this piece. So the two pieces of this is probably 7 to 8 ounces. It's pretty thick, but again, it's a little bit more pliable than the bomb bag. And I guess it's probably, I'm not sure what ply it is or what ounce it is. Oh, I'm looking at that right now. I realized I didn't burn the thread right there after I sewed this. But anyway, so I used this gray leather for the flap. I use this black for the front, and I use this, I think it's veg tan on the back two pieces to give it some stiffness. And I used some chrome tan I had for the gusset. And it's a nice chrome tan. I made some tote bags out of this leather. And again, I'm not a fan of chrome tan. I know it's really nice leather, and it makes really good looking bags and such like that. But I don't know, I've just been kind of hooked on veg tan, and that's what I usually work with. And it's more consistent for me. I'm used to it. So whereas chrome tan, it's much more inconsistent as far as how it cuts, how it dyes, all that stuff, or I should say how it doesn't dye or take any tooling or stamping. So anyway, I had some of this really thin. I don't know. It's probably, sheesh, I don't know, 2 to 3 ounce, give or take. I'm not sure, but I thought it would be a different way to attack the gussets, because on the bomb bag, the gussets were the same, I don't know, 8 to 9 ounce, and I had to do a hell of skiving on it, and that's just too much work, and it's just not the right ounce leather for it. So that was a big mistake on this bag. I made a lot of mistakes on this bag, but again, there's something weird about it, but I do like the fact that it is my bomb bag officially. It's so heavy duty. Anyway, back to this one. So this is some chrome tan, and it made putting the gusset in much easier, but I still didn't do the greatest job on the gussets. Right down here, the stitching is all, I had to poke it through with a stitching awl, because I couldn't stamp it. It's just really tricky. I know there's some techniques to putting in gussets. I don't know them, but I know there are. I just don't know them yet. And so I tried gluing the gusset on one side first and stitching it, and figuring, well, that way at least I'm holding it in place, and then I can manipulate the rest of the gusset on the other side. And I don't think that's the right way. I still had to fight it, especially down in here. But this being softer leather, it was easier to stitch. As you can see, the stitching is much more consistent than the bomb bag that I made. And also, like I say, on these, I had these, what do you call it, straps. They were just laying around, scrap. And You know, I'm not sure where I got it. Probably the same thing. But I like the color of it, but I don't like the leather. So I use that for the straps. And again, this time I decided I was going to make both of them open like the pattern calls for. And see, this is what I don't like is the fuzziness on some of the chrome tan or the veg tan where it can get kind of funky like that. Again, I think this is probably a piece of not the best leather. Um, so anyway, I put it all together, and again, the stitching is much more consistent. It's not great either, but compared to that bomb bag, you know, the gusset and the bomb bag, it's I would give this on a scale. I'd probably give this about a, you know, I don't know, a C. Whereas the bomb bag, I'd give that a D minus. So anyway, I got this all put together, and then as I put this, these two pieces, they're supposed to fold all the way up to the top, right to here. Somehow or another, maybe because of the bunching up of the leather, and on this one also, I did 2 rows too. This bunching up of the leather, it maybe shortened these pieces because these pieces are, in theory, or according to the pattern, they're supposed to come all the way to the top up here. Well, they didn't. They came to right there, as you can see, right in that little spot. So I put it all together, and I was just going to call it good and like kind of toss it off to the side because I don't have the buckles for these straps, just like on the bomb bag, and I'm not in a big hurry to get it done. You know, with the lockdown and everything, I'm not going to spend any extra money on something that I probably won't ever use or give away for that matter. So I decided I was just going to leave it as is, and then I showed a friend of mine who's an engineer, and he's always trying to up my game, and he suggested that I just add a piece right here to this, like I say, make up the difference right here. Just take another piece and then sew it over this, and then bring it to the top like it's supposed to be, which I didn't want to do because I thought it was just too much work. And again, I figured I'm never gonna, you know, use this bag, let alone sell it or even give it away. So I thought I don't want to do any work on it. But as he talked to me about it, I thought, you know what, it doesn't sound like it's that big of a deal. So and so I took up the challenge, and so I stamped all the holes in it first, as you can see, and then I did this little bit of a tool or stamping. I'm not sure the correct terms. And what I like about this that I did here was I really don't know what I'm doing when it comes to this stuff. And I know that you should start off with some kind of a pattern or where you want to go with it. And I tend to like just kind of wing it. And the problem with that is it can be inconsistent. And then I can feel like it's not good enough. So I'll overdo it and just create havoc. So I made a few, you know, stamps here and there, as you can see. And I thought, you know what, just leave it, keep it simple. It's not a big deal, and that's why one of the reasons I do like veg tan is you can do this, the stamping and tooling, where you want to call it, and so I did that. And also, this is a piece of probably 4 to 5 ounce veg tan, and I figured it would also stiffen this area up right here because this chrome tan is probably, I don't know, it's a little small, lighter, thinner than this right here. So I figured this would give it a little more stiffness so that if you are stuffing things in and out of this bag, it will keep it from being really floppy. So I like the way this turned out. I think I stitched it in red, and yeah, and I like it. I think it was a good contrast to the black. But one of the first things I thought about doing was I was going to, you know, figured I could stitch from here and just run it all the way across. But I realized these stitches right here, this is part of the gusset. And so, as you can see right there, that's part of the gusset, and I couldn't figure out how to start it here and then somehow or another get it to bypass the rest and come out. So I had to make this gusset, you know, 1 row, this gusset another, and then make this a separate row. So that was, you know, 1 set of stitching, another set, 3 sets. So I thought that was going to be too much work, but That's what I did. I don't know any other way to do it, or I couldn't figure it out. So anyway, this is what I came up with, and I do like this. This is kind of a good recovery, so to speak, for something um, that I screwed up on somehow. Somehow I made a mistake, and I don't know how I did it, but um, like I say, that's why I make these videos, to show how many mistakes are possible by me, at least, and maybe you can show your own mistakes or ways that you've corrected so-called imperfections or mistakes. So that's what I'm working on it right now, or pretty much is finished. I'm not gonna touch this anymore for now until I get the buckles, because there's not much I can do about it or do with it. Um, I can clean up the edges and burnish them, all that kind of stuff. But again, this is just going to go in my pile of projects that I make, and I just collect them. For a point, last year I tried to sell some wallets online, but I don't know. It's a combination. I don't do the best work, and it's hard to get people to look at your stuff. And then also, there's some really talented crafters out there that I watch their work all the time, and I mean, to me, their stuff is A plus, and my stuff is sometimes it's C, sometimes it's B, but it's never much more than a B at best. And so with all the competition, I don't want to say competition, with all the people selling their wares, I've never been able to sell anything. So I just keep making it and collecting it, and maybe someday um, I can sell it, or I've tried to give it away to friends, and friends don't even want it. But again, I live in San Francisco, so out here with all the vegans and veggies and all that kind of stuff, I think people are they just don't want it because it's leather. I know it sounds weird, but San Francisco is a weird place. Trust me, I could go on about that. So anyway, I'm not even sure what I'm going to start my next project on, but again, I'm practicing these videos. I'm practicing just doing more of them, getting them out there, and hopefully, maybe somebody can will connect to it and realize they're not alone. If there's anyone else that's struggling like me, um, and hopefully help somebody. And if you like it, do the whole like thing. And so far, I've gotten each video maybe 2 or 3 or I don't see likes. I got like 3 or 4 views on each one of my videos. That's about it. But you got to start somewhere, and so that's where I'm at. And we're still locked down out here. Some of the things have opened up, like the golf courses, which I'm a big fan of golf. So hopefully I can get out and play some golf, but not right now. Hopefully in the near future. And so anyway, mistakes in leather crafting. Rob, out.